You're right, Gangrene UK. You're joining us for episode 47 as we continue into Combine Week. And we're on to Saturday's field antics. And we're looking at linebackers and the defensive line, obviously including edge rushers. I'm joined by Kane and James. Thanks for coming along, guys. Exciting one to talk about today. Kim, what do you think of the Jets picking edge, tackle, or linebacker in these early picks?
I'd prefer tackle or linebacker. Just a bit of.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And what about you, James? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, feeling good. There's quite a stacked year. I'm in all positions. Well, maybe not linebacker, but yeah, feeling good.
Cool. So I think should we start on the linebackers just because we know there isn't as many that we're going to talk about. Not that we don't like a lot of them, but we are only choosing players that we think will be around the first few picks. So yeah, we will start with the linebackers. So I think we kick it off then, guys, with the Georgia Bulldog, Nicolby Dean. I'll give you his measurables. He's 6 foot, 225 pounds. He's a junior, so he's like 21. What we feeling about Dean, Kin? You got anything on his scouting, anything like that?
He looked good, or yeah, he's better against the run rather than the pass, but he is good sticking with the receivers because he's got the speed and athleticism. But he does tend to get like faked out by the quarterback sometimes.
He gets caught eye watching.
Yeah. His size doesn't, when he's blitzing, he doesn't do very well. Sometimes getting inside the O-line stop him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, at 6 foot and 225, that's going to happen, isn't it? What about you, James? What are you thinking about Nicolby Dean going into this combine?
50-50. I think it's definitely a great player, and I think he'll do well in the NFL. I think he'll be great first round talent. I'm not super sure. Played in probably the best defense in college football, so that's always going to help. You can trust all your teammates and whatnot. So I'm not convinced, put it that way, on Dean so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can kind of see where you're coming from. I think when you look at him in that Georgia defense, he does command it quite well because he's always in the box. So he is watching, and I think, yeah, he is probably better in coverage, which is why I think 320 of his 600 snaps were in coverage in the box. He wasn't used in other ways as much, like running slight coverage, pass rush. We've already said he's not got the frame to get through, but at the end of the day, he's a linebacker. He's probably coming in to be your next CJ. So I think from me, I'd want to see some like really intelligent player at this combine. And I wouldn't mind seeing what his bench score is.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because they're saying that he might not have a chance to put much muscle on because of his size. Well, is he maximising what he's got? I mean, it'll be an interesting one. Sorry.
You always have the bowl hype as well because he was at the bowl.
Yeah.
He's the top-rated linebacker. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, if anything, though, his stats are slightly improving across the years. He's took more snaps every year. He's got more into the games, played more games, missed a few more tackles this year, but he played like nearly 150 more snaps and missed 3 more tackles. It's not anything major. Kane, you got a linebacker you want to talk about next?
Yeah, let's go Devin Lloyd. Penn State. I'll say the height. Yeah, so Devin Lloyd, Utah, 6'3", 232 pounds. What are you thinking, James?
Yeah, so quite liking Lloyd a lot, really. He's a 3 years of playing time. He is a 6'3", 235 pounds junior. Played every year he was there, basically. Good in the box, good sack numbers. Got 7 sacks his first year, 8 sacks this year, and also got 4 picks. So he could be maybe a little help in the pass game as well. So
that's rare. That is.
Yeah. So he's probably my LB1, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I like him too. I know in 2020 he didn't play as many games. I think he only played 5 or 6 games. So I don't actually know why, whether it was injury, whether it was COVID, because I know a few Utah teams just didn't play, did they? So
Yeah,
down to that.
He was in the Pac-12, and I think they only played a couple of games.
Yeah, which I'm not worried about it, because this year he had 90 tackles, 18 assisted, missed 14 tackles, but on 850 snaps. I can forgive him on 14. Again, very much like Dean, he's all box, a little bit of D-line, bit bigger. He can blitz, he can cover. He seems to have a good head. I mean, yeah, it's all in all, he's a solid pickup, isn't he?
Is the all round linebacker kind of thing? I think he's number 1.
Yeah, I mean, in October when I did my early rankings, I had him at linebacker 3, and I think he's probably 1 or 2 now. The combine, he'll probably come out of it as 1, I think. I don't see many other linebackers on the list that might come out and go, hey. There's a couple that I want to see do well, but yeah. Yeah, Lloyd, for me, he's solid. There's always that fear. He's from Utah and Utes, so it's not even like BYU. It is a smaller school, but yeah, he's an exciting prospect to look at this week. Who's the one for you, James? Anybody you want to talk about next?
No one's really jumping out to me. Maybe Christian Harris from Alabama, or Chad Muma.
Should we do Chad Muma, because he's on my list as well?
Let's go with Muma.
Agree on that one. So yeah, Chad Muma, Wyoming Cowboys linebacker, 6'3", 242 pound junior. I really like this guy. I think if he's available in the second round at that second pick, it's a steal. How are you feeling about him, James? You got anything from this year on him?
Yeah, a couple of things. Well, he's a big standout at the Senior Bowl. Everyone loved him. He seems to have really shot his stock up from those meetings there. He led the country in solo tackles, had 3 interceptions I'm seeing this season. Also, 3 touchdowns as well. So he's, what would you call it? Kind of a Swiss Army knife doing everything. Maybe not as big in the sack game, but yeah, I think this would be a great pick. Maybe that late 2 or early 3rd spot.
Yeah. What about UK, and how are you feeling on Mr. Mumma?
Yeah, he's good at everything, really. He's a really good pass rusher. He's got 3 interceptions, as James said. Hasn't played very big schools, but it's one of them, like, You'll see.
Yeah, you're playing with average players against average players. It's still the same, innit? Yeah, I like the fact that like this year he played 900 snaps. 900 snaps, guys. Like, the year before he played 347, and the year before that 262.
Yeah.
So like this year he has like completely smashed his production out of the chart, and almost equal in run defense and coverage. His pass rush he did make 100, which is quality. It like 115 tackles.
Yeah.
And I think he had like a crazy number, like 60 something of big time tackles. Like everything about him says he stepped up this year. Senior Bowl reports are that he's good with the team.
Yep.
I think if we looked at this and he's a team captain, we know he's on that shortlist. All round, just a solid pick. But we're not talking 4 or 10 here. We're talking end of second, early third. Like this would be a value absolute steal.
Yeah, still.
Kane, you got another linebacker?
Brandon Smith from Penn.
Nice pick.
So we'll be looking at Brandon Smith, Penn State linebacker. He is a 6'3", 241 pounds, a junior, and he's 20 years old with 3 years playing time experience. So what we thinking, boys?
I thought you were going to discount his year then. I was like, is that the kids? Yeah, it's another nice linebacker pick. Good school for linebackers. Played nearly 800 snaps this year. Pretty much split equally between run and coverage. Lined up a lot in the box and in the slot, which fits our scheme really well. Yeah, I mean, he hits hard when he hits, is what I would say. What about you, Kane?
He's actually my linebacker too, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, he's lined up everywhere at linebacker. He's really good at pass rush. He's really good at coverage. He's really good at run stops and does it all really. Well, can't complain. Sometimes he's a bit over aggressive, but gets the penalties and hits people out of bounds. But that'll mature, I think, hopefully. But we'll see.
Great size and great athleticism as well, what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that keeps haunting me, though, is like a 17.2% missed tackle rate. It's like almost 1 in 5 tackles that he misses. So, yeah, I'm a little bit, but
could be
is that just because he's been overeager?
Yeah, he's probably getting their heads off every time, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, this is what these are about. They're about us talking about players that we want to see at the combine who do well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we can't fault that really.
Yeah.
Great pick. Should we move on to defensive tackle?
Yeah.
So I think we've probably got 4 here that we collectively want to talk about. Should we start with Marvin Leo? So Leo is another Aggie from Texas A&M. 6'4", 290 pounds junior. So he's like 21 again. Now Leo is one of these players. He plays interior defensive and he plays on the edge. Personally, I put him into tackle over edge for now. Yeah,
but
it just is what it is.
If we didn't do it in our line, we could mix it up a bit because we're all versatile, really.
Yeah. So that is quite a good one. The reason I've kind of jumped in on him first is going into this previous season, he was ranked pretty highly, and he's had an average season. What are you saying about him, Kane?
I like him. I do. He's versatile, like as you said, DT or D end. He can play with his hands in the ground, play standing up. He's powerful, got enough speed to get around as an edge or through the middle. Arm length, he's got good arm length to get off the block, even though sometimes he struggles with that sometimes. But I do like him a lot.
What about you, James? Sorry.
No, I mean, probably not my one, but I am a fan, and I think if we lose Foley, he's definitely going to fill a big need that we're going to have. So 3 years playing time, numbers don't jump off the board, but again, was not at edge all the time, was playing inside as well. So still okay numbers. I'm iffy on Leo, but as you're saying, around that 30 mark, if we could get him, and that second round mark, I think that would be perfect.
Be a bargain there.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, his lineup, he's predominantly lined up outside the tackle with a little bit on the B gap. Nearly 700 snaps, 400 at pass rush, and 286 at run defense. But he's had 9 sacks, 5 hits, 23 hurries, and 2 battered down passes on a flat season.
It'd be interesting, though, if you added him and then have the ability to move everyone around, like on every single play. Like the Cole, Quinn Williams, JFM, and him.
And Huff as well. Huff.
Yeah, and then and if you draft another edge as well.
It's like what the Rams do, innit, really? Move their linemen all over the shop.
You never know where it's coming from, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2020 Orange Bowl was what drove his stock up. Because he was like clinical. Like 5 third down stops or something like that. He was just, you needed a stop. He was your clinch time player. This year they didn't really have clinch games, so you don't really see him stand out. I think he's another good player that I'm going to be interested to see what workouts he takes part in this week.
It'd be interesting to see his 40 as well, see how much speed he has actually got.
Yeah, 40 and
bench.
Yeah, bench is a big one because he needs to transfer that size onto his strength. But also, I can't think what it is. It's not the vert jump, the other jump. I can't think of the word.
Jump.
Yeah, like that one will be interesting to see what his score is. The broad jump is what they call it, isn't it? I got to have a look there. Yeah, because I'd like to see what that first step could be. Yeah, the development will come out in interview, whether it was just the team had a bad year or if it was him. And the Wonderlick, which I don't think I've ever been more into than I am this year. I just feel like football IQ and actual intelligence is becoming more and more of the game this time. That now, where it used to be hit hard, hit strong, hit fast.
But no.
I think Mangold had a really bad one, from what I remember. He gets ragged quite a lot. But yeah, it's just thought it was relevant. Yeah,
yeah, but he tanks beers and tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we won't go into that one yet. Anybody you want to talk about next, Kane?
Perrian Winfrey.
So Perrian's from Oklahoma Sooners, and he is 6'4", 292 pounds, senior. Was that the Senior Bowl? We're on that this week. We're on it.
Definitely.
Kane, tell us a bit about him. Your pick.
I'll start with his Senior Bowl stats because he got 5 tackles, 3 for a loss, and 2 sacks at the Senior Bowl. He's pretty much the best player on defense at the Senior Bowl, and he's just a beast. To be honest, he's got like really good length, like arm wise. He's powerful. He's just gets straight through the O-line. He scares them off and gets through.
You all know how I like the good length.
Yep.
How are you feeling about Perrian Winfrey, James?
Yeah, no, feeling all right. Not super familiar. He does play on Oklahoma, who Big 12. It's typically 50-50. There's not much defense being played in those games. But, he's 11 solo, 23 total, 5.5 sacks for the year. So, decent-ish numbers, great size, old, got that experience. So I like the pick personally. I think he's got a chance.
I like the fact that he's only got 2 years, right? Over those 2 years, he's got about 900 snaps, but he has also got nearly 40 hurries, 8 hits, and probably I think it's about 6 or 7 sacks. So most of them were this year. He is trending up. He lines up B gap, A gap, and over a tackle. He doesn't really do outside tackle. He's very much in that central kind of lineup. Yeah, I like him. I want to see what he does again at the combine. I want to see some of those numbers. Does he have the speed? Because he's quite a big guy.
Yeah.
Is he as fast as he needs to be that kind of side-to-side linebacker? Does he have the intelligence to play that? He did very well in the Senior Bowl. I mean, I still haven't got all the way through it, if I'm being honest. But yeah, he seems to be a solid pick.
I think he's rated in the second round at the moment, so I think.
Yeah, I think he could fall as far as the 4th as well. Really, he probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I won't get him in the 4th.
Well, yeah, it's that thing again, isn't it? Like, if he's there, we have to be looking at him because he is one of those players that you just have to kind of go, yeah. I mean, next one we'll go on to. I know you're a fan, James. It's Jordan Davis from Georgia.
The man.
Yeah, so he's a big guy, is Jordan Davis. 6'6", 340-pound senior. Kane, was he at the Senior Bowl? Put him totally on the spot there. So what are you feeling about Jordan Davis, James?
Yeah, just from his first game this season, which was Clemson, when typically big colleges will play each other at the start of the year. It's probably his best game of his career as well. 4 career high, 4 run stops in that game. But he jumped out to me. You can see him on the line. Like, NFL players are big. This guy looks massive. Like, he stands out every time. They were using 3 players to block him in that game, and he was still getting through. So, yeah, I'm just a big fan, and I've watched him all year. Maybe not as great in the sack game, but for a run-stopping defensive tackle, I don't think you'll find a better prospect. So I'm all in.
See, that's a fair shout. Because when you look at the numbers, sometimes they're just a bit. Oh.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about him, Kane?
Yeah, I do like him. I've called him Godzilla since we found him, really. And that's like, if we draft him, I'm going to get Godzilla on the back with his number. He often has to come off the field because he runs out of stamina sometimes because he's mainly used in the run game, obviously, and he's quite big. But if he can work on that, then even better. But he's a monster either way, and we need somebody to stop the run because nobody did this year.
Yeah, I mean it was a big issue last year. I mean, when you look at his numbers, he's only had 378 snaps this year in 15 games, which is not a lot. A lot of people will go, if he's having to come off because he's gassed, this is going to be another fat boy thing. They're going to call him fat. They're going to call him unfit.
But when he's on the field, like if he's taken out 2 O linemen, then
oh yeah, I mean, like it's the same as it's like you can play a fight with a dog and you're knackered afterwards, right? It's that thing. He's mainly lined up B gap and A gap, exactly what you would expect. I like the look of him, but the size and stamina concerns me. I think he's so bloody disruptive that I could probably get over it quite easily. And run stop is a big need, or was a big need. Will we adapt that scheme to be a little bit more friendly? I don't know. But I think with Davis, I think we have to kind of, when we're looking at the combine, he's bench, he's 40, and probably he's 3-cone or the equivalent of whatever the line do. They're going to show us stuff.
Because he's quite fast. So it'd be nice to see how fast he is.
Yeah, and that change of movement on the shuttles and things it'll be interesting to see. I mean, let's face it, he comes from Georgia. It's the most probably pro-style defense you're going to see in college football, really.
Yeah.
Especially this last couple of years. And he's on a line that's absolutely stacked. So that's why he might only also have less snaps.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so far we've already talked about 3 or 4 Georgia players, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's like insane. So the last one that we'll talk about is Wyatt.
Yeah, another Georgia Bulldog. 6'2", 307 pounds, defensive tackle. What do you think about him, James?
Yeah, so not as big a fan as Davis, but I think there's still a lot to be said about Wyatt. He's got a hell of a lot more playing time than Davis. Got 4 years playing and putting up stats in all 4 years at the position. So probably a lot more experience in that, as we say, NFL style defense, full of talent. So he's managed to keep himself keeping himself with playing time with a lot of guys who are going to be in the NFL at some day. So I'm a fan. And I think maybe if Davis does go, this could be where you're looking for that second option, maybe a DT.
What you can?
I really want to like him. I really want to like him a lot. Excuse me. His production and his snap count has actually gone down per game average over his time. He has become more impactful, 4 sacks, 5 hits, 17 hurries, and 2 bats this year, which is epic. He's lined up A gap, B gap, over tackle, outside tackle, and off ball. So he has done everything. I mean, some of it's minimal, but he's done it. I like the fact that he's explosive, more so than a lot of the other guys that we've looked at. And I think that's what's going to raise him up. I mean, some rankings have him first, some rankings have him second round. It's one of them where in high school he was a 4-sport athlete. In college, he's been very, very athletic. At this combine, will he put up the bench of a 315 man with the speed of a 280 man. If he does that, that second round will become an automatic first rounder for me, because it's like you said, he's coming from Georgia. We know he's a 4-year starter. Not many of them stay in Georgia for 4 years. They normally go to the league earlier. So he's stuck around. He's a senior, so he's got the knowledge. He's going to have finished his degree. Everything about this kid says he should move to the NFL very well, which is why I'm like, this guy could flop. But I think I'll be more comfortable when I actually see him perform, because he's been on a steady incline pretty much all year. He dropped a little bit in October, November, but everything else, he's just been gradually going up. I think that's like the 5th Georgia Bulldog we've talked about. It's fair to say I think Georgia next year are going to be awful on defense.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's a solid pick wherever he lands. But this week he's one of the ones. I know we've said it on a few other videos. He has a good week this week, his career is set. If he does not perform this week, or if he sits out some of the key activities, he might have to settle for a 2nd, 3rd rounder, because somebody's going to raise, somebody's going to fall. The last group of players to talk about on this video, the one that everybody's going mental about, guys, edge rush. Now, there's a couple of players that we like. Obviously, we have our list of who we've already picked. We do that off air. There's a lot of players on here. I think we'll probably pick 4 and go with that. So, where do we want to start, Kane?
I'll say Jermaine Johnson.
Right, so Jermaine Johnson, FSU, 6'5", 260 pound, 62 pound, senior. Played very well at the Senior Bowl, is what we'll say. James, what are you feeling about him? What can you tell us?
Yeah, well, athletic freak, really, from the sounds of things. Great in the run game, great in the pass game. One of the best edge setters in this draft. Anyway, got 3 years playing time. Well, I didn't get as much production as this year, but obviously playing on quite a good team with a lot of bodies in front of him. So I'm liking Jermaine Johnson, and I'm might be getting up in that top 3 edge for me personally.
Nice. What about you, Kane?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I'm the same, probably top 3, top 2 edge. Long armed, physical, but easily get past O lines, tight ends, running backs. Really good rusher.
Yeah,
Massive.
I'm kind of sold on him a little bit, but 14 sacks this year, 7 hits, 25 hurries, and a battered down catch. That's in 12 games.
Yep.
Crazy.
And he only had 736 snaps, 415 on edge. So really, he got 14 sacks of 415 snaps. Because let's face it, he didn't get a sack on a run stop, did he? Which is pretty good going. Yeah, quite like this one.
Yeah.
Crazy fact is he bench pressed 300 pounds when he was 15. So I'm excited to see what he puts up on. So these guys are Saturday, so he'll be on the bench on Friday. So we should know on Friday what he's benched.
Yeah.
Which will be an interesting one. Yeah, so where do you want to go next then, guys? Do you want to pick one for us, James?
Yeah, let's go with Thibodeau and why he's not that good.
So Kevin Thibodeau, Oregon Ducks, 6'5", 258 pounds, sophomore, 21-year-old, just. Right, I'm pretty sure it's the end of December is his birthday. So you said why he's not standing out, James. So I'm going straight to you. Let us know what you're saying.
Yes, so they watch a fair amount of college football, and Kayvon was been the man. He was number one on everyone's draft board since the start of the season for about 2 years. So I thought I'd watch as many Oregon games as I could this year. And personally, from previous years watching Bosa and all these like other names that came out as the top rusher, they dominated in college. Kayvon Thibodeau did not dominate this year. He was average at best. His numbers aren't great. If you watch the Pac-12 championship games, they were running at him specifically because he couldn't stop them in the run. So I don't see it. I wouldn't want to spend the 4th pick on him personally. I'm just not a fan. So.
Well, that's an absolute fair point. When you look at this year's Pac-12 versus last year's Pac-12 when he got 3 sacks, I can understand why he started so high last year. What are you feeling about him, Kane?
Yeah, especially since his injury this year, he definitely did nothing really well. He wasn't amazing before that, but after that, it just seemed to disappear. Obviously, he had a good year last year, so is it just the hype from last year passing over to this year?
Or was it the fact that they only played half the games last year? Because again, Oregon, Pacific Northwest, they were struggling with COVID in 2020, so the games were shorter again. So he stood out over 7 games. The year before, he was good over 14. This injury this year, I think, damaged his stock a lot.
It didn't necessarily damage his stock, but because the hype train's still there, but probably to NFL teams, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's still got 9 sacks this year. He got 11 hits, 28 hurries on 560 snaps and 290 pass rush snaps, which they don't sound great, but they also don't sound horrendous. And I think that's exactly what he is. But I know I've said it a few times. I'm not sure how much higher his ceiling is. I think we're probably looking at he's very good at the size, very good at the weight. He's got fair technique. But will all that get better enough to jump him up to the next level? He'll go to the league and it'll be more than average. But when you're talking pick 4, do you want more than average or do you want elite?
Yeah.
That's where I'm sat at the minute. 3-cone drill this week. He nails that, nails the 40 and nails the bench. All of a sudden it'll be like, oh, look who's back. And it'll be on top of the boards again.
So with that, where'd you rate him on your edge ranking?
I have him at 3 or 4.
By your chance?
About the same. 3.
I'd say 3.
I mean, yeah, it's just what it is. If we went to the next one, I think we'd be wrong not to go to Hutchinson next from Michigan. So Hutchinson is 6'6", 265 pounds, senior, 21-year-old. He was obviously, I think he won the best defender or edge defender in college football this year. I think he won that accolade.
Hers-
What are you thinking about him, James?
Yeah, so Hutch it's a strange one. Numbers are crazy. I really liked Hutchinson until I watched the Georgia game, to be honest, and just seeing him against those monsters that he'd be playing every week and just kind of having a bit of a dud, didn't get a single sack and only a couple of solos, I think. So that's what scared me off. But I also did watch the Ohio game and other games like that, where he did get multiple pressures and multiple sacks. 3 years playing time with his main year, 4 years playing time, pardon me, main year being this year. So I am still on the Hutch train, and probably for me it's him and Johnson fighting for that 1 and 2 for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at 2020 for him because he only played 3 games. So the stats are so small.
Yeah.
Are almost non-existent. But you're right, the year before, he put up all right numbers, nothing amazing.
No.
What are you thinking, Kane? Because I know you are not on the train.
I'm not on the train. I think the hype came from the Ohio game, obviously, because it's a big game. And then I actually think because Ojabo is better, he made him look good.
It's a fair point. You're saying because Ojabo was there, he was taking the coverage, which was letting Aiden get through, essentially. I mean, it's a fair point. I
can see the argument for it. Like, it's a good size, tall, and that. I think he has small arms, but I'm not really sure. Like, we'll see when the wingspan comes out. It looks like he's got small arms. But like,
if he has only got small arms, I think we have to call him T-Rex from now on. I mean, yeah.
You've seen him struggle against Georgia, and is there any Ohio State O-linemen going into the draft this year? Is there? I think there is.
Yeah, I mean, that Ohio game, right? So you got 3 sacks and 15 pressures in that game. You can understand why people went, oh, hang on.
Against the O-line, that was just rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, that can absolutely be it. I think he is a good player. Excuse me. I don't know if he is number 1 overall pick. I think Hutchinson's stock at the combine can only go down.
Yeah.
I don't think it can go up.
I mean,
However,
I was my runner-up, so it says it all, really.
I think in the league, he is going to be an absolute monster. I'm like kind of putting him on impactful on like slightly, it's definitely different positions, but Winovich, who obviously came from Michigan, I think Wirfs, I think like we're talking like that type of impact. But I kind of agree. I think there is better edge rushers going into the combine.
If he's on a line where he's like a really good edge and then he's with an average edge, do you think he'll be as productive?
I think he has the skill set to be.
I
don't know if he's proved it.
We'll see.
So I think if we're going to do, like we've obviously talked Hutchinson and we're going to kind of neg him a little bit, I think we have to go to Ojabo next.
5.
So yeah, Ojabo 6'5", 250, junior, 21 as well. Right. I'm going to start it out by a stat that I've just not mentioned. Prior to 2021, he'd only played 26 snaps. Right? Not saying 1 year wonder, but we do have to take that into account. Kane, tell us why he's better.
I just think I might be wrong when it comes to wingspan, but I think he's got the longer arms. He's got the better body type. He just looks better when he plays. Like
He's more fluid.
yeah.
I mean, that's why we do these things. We all watch different players. We watch them in different ways. So seeing that, I mean, it's absolute fair point. You think he's got wider spans and he moves better. I'm totally on board with that.
More flexible, like to be able to get past the line and get through.
Yeah, fair. What about you, James? James.
It's like either. As I think you said, you can't really go too wrong with any of these boys. So, like, they're all the talents there, and they're gonna definitely help our deal. So, I like Jabo. Obviously, it is a bit of a worry. It's just the 1 year stats, but still, did it this year and against top level competition. 5 forced fumbles, 11 sacks, 24 solo. I'm a fan, and maybe I don't know when's he kind of predicted. If you could get him in that second round, great, but I don't know if he'd make it there.
I mean, most people are saying first.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, this is another one of them, right? So yeah, doesn't have much playing time. So we're talking very, very small amount of film.
Yep.
But there's one thing that is 100% true on him. He's got the skill set and he's got the ability to be a superstar.
Yeah.
But is this one of I know which way you're sitting is that he's made Hutch look better. There's also the argument that Hutch has made him better. But would he do better going to a team where he's not going to be a starter, but he'll rotate in and he'll be behind an elite edge rusher? Like, could you imagine him behind Myles Garrett for a year? Just to perfect them hands, get angry. I mean, if he dropped out of the first and ended up somewhere like Cleveland, I wouldn't want to be Baltimore or the Steelers in a couple of years' time because he'd be killing people.
What's interesting with it is in 2020, Hutchinson had 0 sacks when Ajabo wasn't playing. But when he is playing, Hutchinson's productive as hell.
But both of them are the same because in
the
5 games that he did play, he didn't have any sacks either. So is it just a change? Is it? Yeah, I mean, that's what makes all of this early scouting. And let's face it, none of us are scouts. But that's what makes it fun. The fact that we can sit here and talk about 2 guys that we've never met and probably never will meet, and we probably won't draft or ever have playing for us. But we're just like, nah. Anybody we want to talk about next before we call this vid? Because I mean, let's face it, we could talk about 100 edge rushers.
Yeah, it's quite deep, isn't it?
It's not even that it's deep. There's just a lot of option.
Yeah,
and we talked about a couple of linebackers that can play out there. I mean,
I'd like to talk about Kingsley and Agba.
Cool. Well, that'll be the one that we do then.
no.
Yeah, so an Agba or Bear, 6'4", 265, senior, he's 22. Not gonna lie, I did not watch much of the Gamecocks this year. So I'm minimal on this one. I've got numbers and whatnot. I know he's dropped a lot recently. So this is somebody who's on a downward. Seem you dropped him, Kane. Do you want to give us a bit on him?
I think So he's very versatile. He can line up anywhere on the line, kind of thing. He has dropped into coverage for the Gamecocks before. Very fast, a very good edge rusher. He had his best season in 2020 after a hip surgery, so the hip surgery did nothing to him basically. Had a bit of a worse year this year, but so that's made him drop a little bit. So he's in the second round at the moment, but I think he's going to be a steal there.
Oh, fair. What are you saying, James?
Yeah, I think it's sitting a similar boat where I wasn't watching too much South Carolina games this year, but I suppose you kind of, with Inagbe, or however we're going to say it, it's potential really, isn't it, that you drafted? It's got great size and it's got good playing time as well. He's played for 4 years, maybe not had the greatest production, but he's played at an SEC, school for 4 years against top talent.
He's seen stuff.
Yeah. Definitely. A couple of bags getting dropped off here and there, but I'm a fan, and I'm probably going to take a better look into him as we get closer to the draft. So, yeah.
Is the heaviest edge rusher out of the ones that we've named. But
Yeah.
He's fast as well.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, he's not overly athletic. He's got good hands. He's very violent. He's strong. So this needs to transfer out to get his stock back up. I don't think personally he can get his stock back up to where it was. I don't think we're talking top 10. I think other players have had better seasons. It's one of those with this one. He is going to go into the league and be what he is.
One to watch.
Yeah, it's not a superstar you get in here. It's a player who's going to go out, deliver you exactly what you expect week in, week out. And some games, it'll be like when he played Troy and nearly killed the QB. And then other games, it'll be you might not see a sack for 5 weeks.
He had a bit of a no-show against Clemson, 2 total tackles last game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, last game of the season, surprised he didn't sit it out.
Yeah.
No, it's another, like you say, this video is all about us, who we're going to look at the combine. Yeah, I would say I'm gonna look at some Gamecock film, but I'm not. Like North Carolina all day long. South Carolina, the best thing about it is barbecue sauce.
That point.
Yeah, I went there. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. It's been slightly long on this one, but lots of players to go through. And Saturday is always the longest day of the combine anyway. Give us a like, a share, follow, retweet, whatever you can do. And give us some feedback. If you want to get involved, hit us up. We'll speak to you soon.